This video is going to review how to find slope. Now remember, we have two different ways to find slope. The first way would be if we have points, for example, an x and a y, so a set of coordinates, x1, y1, and x2, y2. Remember, if you're going to find slope that way, you'll start by subtracting the two y values, and on the bottom you'll subtract the x values. The other way to find slope is from a graph. Remember, if you're looking at it that way, you're going to draw a triangle and you're going to look for the rise over the run. The key to remember is that if it's going uphill from left to right, the slope should be positive, and if it's going downhill from left to right, it should be negative. So let's take a look at a couple examples. Here's the first one using 2 points. So if we want to find the slope, the first thing we need to do is subtract the y values. I'm going to put -7 first and then -4. I also have to subtract the x values, so we're going to get -3 minus, and then it's a -2 there. Remember, you need to subtract them in the same order. -7 minus 4 is -11. -3 minus -2 is like adding 2. So -3 plus 2 is -1. And -11 divided by -1 is +11. Taking a look at another example, you can do the same thing. So once again, I'm going to take 1 and subtract -8. Now don't forget that it's 1 minus -8, and I'll have -4 minus 2. On the top, those are going to add up to be 10 because minusing a negative is like adding. And -4 minus -2 is -6. Now this fraction reduces a little bit because both numbers are divisible by 3, so I'm going to change this to be 3 over 2. Now you can leave the negative with the bottom or you can write it in front. Either way, as long as there's one negative sign, you get a negative answer in the end. So the key here, remember, is that you're subtracting in between, and if you're subtracting a negative, in the end it becomes adding. Now for the last couple here off the graph, I like to start by taking 2 points and I like to connect them with a triangle. And then we count the boxes. So going in the first direction, going up and down, it looks like it's a total of 3 lines. And going in the other way, we have 2. So remember, in this case, for the slope, we put the rise first, which would be 3, and the run second. And because this line is going downhill from left to right, it's going to be a -3. Remember, the 3 you could think of as going down, so that's why we would put negative. The next one's similar. You'll notice in this case we don't have points labeled nicely for us, so we just want to find some points where it crosses nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and use this point right here, and it looks like this point there, and draw my triangle. So now up and down it looks like it's climbing 3. In this case it's running 2. So once again I have the same thing, 3 over 2. But this one is going uphill from left to right, so it's going to be a positive slope in the end. Now that you've reviewed how to find slope, I'd like you to see Mrs. Alberg, and you can get some practice.